So I just made a video about the new Taylor Swift album, Life of a Showgirl, and within the video that I made, I was making the assertion that the album is camp, or it's at least intended to be. Whether or not you believe it stuck the landing, okay, fine. But I kept on getting comments saying, this is not what camp is, this isn't camp, it's not camp. I hate to break it to you, but this album was entirely intended to be camp. Whether or not you think it stuck the landing, I think is up to you. However, this album is objectively intended to be camp. I want to do my best to make sure we're all on the same page of what camp is, but it's going to be hard to do because one of the defining features of camp is that it's hard to define, and that every time you try and get closer to it, you lose the definition. I remember having a writing class in college that was specifically dealing with popular culture, and we had a whole unit that was on camp. The instructor gave the analogy that it's kind of like one of those toys that's like the cylinder with the gel inside, and like when you try and grab it, it like shoots out of your hand. It's kind of the same thing, that like as you get closer to camp, as you feel like you're finally starting to understand it, it slips out of your hand. So let's start with the base definition of camp, because that seems to be where we need to start. It says, deliberately exaggerated and theatrical in style, typically for humorous effect. This is, again, most baseline, simple definition that exists. This is what the entire rollout looked like leading up to the release of the album, right? Incredibly theatrical, incredibly exaggerated. This is very on par for camp. In fact, the whole concept or a conceit of a showgirl is incredibly, innately camp. Camp is innately unserious. That is another major tenet of what camp is, that it's meant to not be taken seriously. You're supposed to look at it and go, man, that is some wacky stuff. Camp is intended to be artificial. It's intended to be overly affected. It's intended to be so bad, it's good. I can't find my screenshot for it, but another major tenet of camp is that it's often incredibly sexual. And this is, I mean, easily the most sexualized that Taylor Swift has ever been in any of her official photo shoots, ever, right? And so we're leaning into all of these different affectations. We're leaning into how she's perceived by the outside world, and she's leaning into it in a way that is intended to be camp. Now, we can absolutely have further conversation about whether or not the album was successful in its attempt to be camp, or if it ended up kind of landing more in the realm of kitsch, which is like less intentional. But I do think that it seems pretty clear from the jump, from the get-go, Taylor Swift is intending for this to be an exercise in camp. Whether or not you think she did it right kind of doesn't matter to the point of this is intended to be camp. I mean, one of the defining movies of what camp is, when people are like, what's camp? You want to point them towards something. You point them towards showgirls. It's specifically about exotic dancers, showgirls within Vegas, and how it relates to the American identity, and it's incredibly aesthetic in its purpose, and was panned at the time because it's so bad, it ended up looping back around to good. Like that's exactly what Taylor was